This is a Charlotte man on Craigslist in New Orleans. If this is to be believed, willing to exchange his wife for tickets to Kentucky's game on Saturday against Louisville. I'm a UK fan wanting to go to the Final Four in New Orleans. I have put up my wife as collateral. She can make you speak 5 languages you never knew you could speak. I'm not feeling my best, so I have to use my sexy mama to get me to the game. Let me see my UK Wildcats. That is love.
From the day a child is born in Kentucky, they're a fan. It's inbred, and I mean that in the nicest term. It is everything about what they do is about supporting the Wildcats.
I guess, in a way, like a lot of Kentucky fans, I really turn a lot of people that aren't Kentucky fans into Kentucky haters because they secretly want me to fail because I'm way too into this.
University of Kentucky Wildcat fans are unlike any other fans anywhere in the world. They have the most spirit. They're the most ambitious about getting out the word of being a Wildcat fan.
Go Cats!
It means something, you know? I feel something when I watch it. I get excited. I can't wait to go to Rupp. I'm proud of it. I'm proud to say I'm a Cats fan.
When Kentucky is on, the needle moves. That's hard to do in regular season college basketball, but Kentucky moves the needle. It's important. People care. People watch.
Kentucky fans are part of the group of people that in the first 3 or 4 words they use to describe themselves, they'll say they're a Kentucky fan.
You know, people grow up in Kentucky, you make a choice of whether to be a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. You even make a choice whether to like horse racing or not, but when you're in Kentucky, you're a Kentucky basketball fan.
I mean, I just want to be a successful person. Hopefully walk on at UK as my dream is.
You may make fun of a lot of things that we do in Kentucky, but one thing you can say, hey, Kentucky basketball, can you guys top that?
Kentucky basketball is so much of like how I identify myself like as an American. I feel like it's such a big part of my upbringing and my life that, you know, being from Kentucky is synonymous with being a UK fan. It's an instant like bonding element between people.
If you could fill up a church like you fill up Rupp Arena, take that energy, take that passion, take that love, take that commitment, and bring it into your church. Wow.
When we played at home, we were invincible. That's why it's so hard to win in Rupp Arena, because you feel like there's 25,000 people behind you and you're playing against only 11 or 15 people and they have no chance.
The fans are so much a part of it, you have to include them. They're truly the sixth man.
Part of being a super fan is an addiction phenomenon, and that occurs in the brain. So when you're in the stadium or you're watching it on television, you get a rush. Well, so does the UK experience. You get this rush. So I used to get the rush as a kid. I still have the rush.
Man, we've been here since 11 o'clock p.m. Tuesday. I'd do pretty much anything to go to Kentucky basketball. I mean, this is only a practice.
This, when you walk in, you know, these people, they wanted significance. They wanted to be in the conversation. They want to be, whether it's in recruiting or all draft or, you know, all that kind of things. And these people are out here. I mean, they're intense, waiting for tickets to our first practice.
First time I've been to the practice. It's the start of the season. There's a big difference. New hopes, new dreams.
They live, they sleep. I mean, everything that they do revolves around basketball, even in the summertime, in the off season. The fans are what makes it so unique and so special, and this is what Madness is all about.
We got the #1 fans in the nation. There's no doubt about it. People bleeds blue, that's it.
How long have y'all been here?
For 3 days.
Long
3
enough.
days. Haven't even showered for those 3 days.
I've come down here every year, and he's finally big enough to come with me, so I brought him too this year. And we'll be here again next year, me and him together.
Got a broke arm here, and I'm not going to go nowhere till I get my tickets today. Got to have some pins put in my arm, and when I get my tickets, I'll go talk to the doctor about my pins.
These are the real fans right here, not the rich people that buy their tickets and get into the ball games. This is the real fans right here.
The Kentucky fans are just special. They're just special, special people. And I think, for the most part, nearly everybody I was ever around at the University of Kentucky, they appreciated everything that Kentucky fan did. And it didn't make any difference whether you're rich or poor. Your voice was just as loud when it came to cheering for the Wildcats. And I think I never met a player, and I think I knew all of them, who didn't love the Kentucky fans.
I don't think it's anything that you can explain, because I'm from Georgia, and I've been trying to explain that to people back in Georgia ever since I came here in 1982. It's something that you have to come and live, and when you see it each and every day, you understand then at that time just how special it is.
Yeah, it means I was #1 in line, and I'll have the best seats in the house come October the 15th.
I haven't had a kid yet, not married, but I've seen many Christmas mornings, and this has topped all of them. This is the best thing I've ever been to.
We have the best fan base in the nation. I think it's pretty amazing that we have all these people show up just for the first practice of the year.
There's just something about Kentucky that people love. We really are the ultimate basketball fans, and this Big Blue Madness is the ultimate holiday.
Players practice their entrance for Big Blue Madness because the teammates have told them, hey, you're not going to believe how big this is going to be. You got to have something special to bring. And I never thought I would live long enough to go be interviewing players about what they're practicing their dance or routine for Big Blue Madness. But that's what it's came to. It's that big a show and that big a coming out party for those guys.
When those lights like shut down and like the spotlights start going and they're like, and now everybody's just roaring and ready to go. That energy, like the butterfly feeling in your stomach, it's uncomparable to anything else.
The people in Western Kentucky don't identify with the people of Eastern Kentucky and vice versa. But the one thing that they can talk about, the one thing that nearly everybody can talk about, will be University of Kentucky basketball.
If they are a Kentucky fan, you don't have to win every game as long as you're trying to win every game. You may have some downtimes, but they're still very loyal.
They're weird, unearthly, the sort of strange beings you may have seen before on nights when you've lain awake, your brow beaded with sweat and a dryness in your throat. But don't panic. In case you haven't already guessed, they're not creatures from outer space.
We talking about the cats from Lexington, Kentucky! #1! Now!
There is a psychology to being a fan. Fan identity is an unusual phenomenon of all different kinds of identity. You have an identity in your life, I have an identity in mine, independent of UK basketball. But this identity thing becomes part of the fandom, of being a fan. So the identity part it becomes core to you. So that when UK plays, even though you're not playing, you're part of it.
You're the one for the Wildcats, two for the show. You better get it ready and go, 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 and don't you step on the Wildcat shoes. Because if you do, I'll show you how I can give you a bruise. I'll just knock you down, twist you around, and after the game, kick you out.
When you're at a ball game and you begin to have this great feeling of passion toward the team, that's occurring in an area of tissue that I can't really show you because I don't have a model of it, but it's in this part here. Actually, it's down here.
I am a die-hard UK fan. I'm telling you, I live the blue blood in my body every single day until the day I die. I mean, reason why I love doing the things that I do, like you see me now, like for example, like the fat head, like I'm holding as of right now, you know? I'm just here for one thing. I'm here to win a national championship. That's my goal, and that is my mission. And I'm telling you this, a failure is not an option.
I thought I'd get some complaints, but I never have. It's always been somebody coming by wanting pictures of it. If anybody don't like it, they just don't like it, but I haven't heard anybody saying they didn't like it. I am Jean Redmond, and I am the biggest UK fan. I've been a UK fan all my life. If I see anything, I get it, but I don't know what else I need. My favorite items are my statues of the players. If I could show my yard, I'd like for Calipari to see it.
What if he said, Gene, you're crazy?
I said, well, let it be.
Mother, you have the home of the biggest Wildcat fan in the country. If you don't believe it, come to the house and I'll show you. Go Big Blue, #1. Yeah. Go get it.
How many people do you ever see that turn the whole house, into a shrine like old Henry Miller done? I love it. If I could get more in here, I would do it. I'm Henry Miller, and I'm king of Kentucky basketball. Welcome to my kingdom. When they first walk in that door, see what I got? The mouth fly wide open, like they stunned. I started all this in 1986, right after I built this house for my mom. And she said, why don't you make you a UK room? I said, I would never be able to fill a room with UK stuff because I wasn't going nowhere and wasn't getting no papers out of the mail and stuff like that. I love Kentucky basketball better than women. I'm single, free, and happy. I love this Kentucky stuff. I love it to death. And everybody that comes in my house, that's what they say, you #1. You were #1, Henry. I said, thank you.
Kentucky's like the guy, Mr. Wiggins, that goes to every game and has been going for 40 years.
Oh, I saw 600 games in a row, and I had a heart attack and missed 4 games before I come back.
You consider yourself the super fan?
Well, I guess there's nobody else has got this record.
Because I am the Kentucky Rattlesnake, and I am the heavyweight champion of the Southeastern Conference. Just like that. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Game days are chaos in the fact that the anticipation of the game and the fear and the anxiety. I'll be honest, I've lost a couple of TV remotes over a couple of calls that have been made. So just being in the atmosphere and being ready on game day just changes everybody's life.
If you're truly a fan, like you watch tapes of the games. Like I'll say to my radio show, which would rank in the top 30 in attendance in the country. How many of you watch a tape of the last game? How many of you watched that tape more than once? 3,000 people hold up their hand. They watch the tapes more than I watch the tapes.
Now, if you were on the cover of Sports Illustrated and they told you you were the next Michael Jordan, how would you handle that? And then you're at Kentucky, where if you drop your fork, they write about it, correct? And it's on PTI, correct? Another program, no big deal.
Our fans just want to be entertained. They want to have a break from their everyday lives for 2 or 3 hours. And, you know, I can't think of really of a healthier way to do it than, you know, root for this program like they do.
Kentucky fans are extraordinary, and I've been to sporting events all over the world, and I've never seen the enthusiasm, the passion, the fun that comes with Kentucky basketball. Amazing.
There's great pride in the people in this state. There's a hunger out there among the public for something to attach themselves to believe in, and be a part of, to the point that they gain some respect.
So one reason the Big Blue Nation is such a phenomenon is the Big Blue Nation's been around a long time.
In Louisville, Kentucky's Wildcats meet the favored Chiefs from Seattle for the NCAA championships. The Chiefs go according to form at the start, before a record crowd of 19,000 Kentucky fans.
Well, you got to look at somebody like the New York Yankees and Babe Ruth to have that kind of legacy. We have a similar legacy in Kentucky.
This thing started when Adolph Rupp came here, stayed 42 years, and transformed the whole culture of basketball in this state. And it became a living, breathing thing.
The eastern Kentucky and the far west and those small communities, they didn't have a lot of entertainment in their area. There was Wednesday night prayer meeting, and the rest of the week was blah. Well, basketball became a way of life in the bluegrass and throughout Kentucky. One lady that was at scrimmage, and she had to be in her late 80s or early 90s, and she came up to me as we were leaving the gym, and she said, "Coach Hall, do you think I could touch Rick Roby?" And she just wanted to touch him.
It used to be we'd always play Notre Dame in a New Year's Eve game in Freedom Hall. Afterwards, we'd sign autographs. And it was our championship season, as a matter of fact. And I was roommates with Rick Roby. And so, well, Rick was next to my table. And at first, after about 10 minutes of signing the autographs, I don't remember whose player it was, but their table collapsed because everybody was leaning on it. And then the next thing you know, I saw Rick kind of jump around his table and head out to the middle floor where there was kind of security. And it was like, what happened? Well, someone had come up behind and tried to clip a lock of his hair. So, Rick Roby, the worship god.
Well, all I know is I think Kyle Macy probably had more girls chasing him than I did, you know, but he didn't age as well as I did. He's you know, he's a little bit short of hair now, but the coach isn't bigger than UK basketball. And UK basketball is all about the fan. If we didn't have that fan base in a lot of the ball games, you know, it could have turned the other way. So playing at Rupp Arena is really a neat experience.
Some of my first memories are
Kyle Macy.
Man, why you got
Kyle
you push your
Macy,
socks
man.
down? You know, when I was little, I used to stand at the foul line and I would, you know, I'd push my socks down like Kyle Macy.
Kyle Macy became a #1 object of fandom. He became a folk hero in this state, even though he was from Indiana. And I think there are probably more children that were born in those years that are named Kyle than any other probably single name.
It comes down. 198 Duke. Woods. Pelfrey.
You're calling the iconic sport in the state, therefore you become an icon yourself. And K. Wood Ledford certainly was.
The Kentucky fans' connection to the Wildcats is as tight as it gets, I think, in any sport. And K. Wood was kind of the conduit in an era when a handful of games would be on TV in a year, and yet the fan base is every bit as passionate as it is now when ratings go through the roof when the Wildcats play on TV. He was the guy that brought the picture to you.
People had a love for K. Wood Ledford that is unbelievable. K. Wood never really cared if you liked what he said, because K. Wood was going to tell you exactly the way it was. I remember we were sitting one night in Alabama and we're having dinner with Dick Enberg and Al McGuire. And somebody said, well, next week you'll be up having the Kentucky ball game. And they said, you'll have the biggest audience in the nation. He says, we'll probably have the biggest basketball audience in the nation, but we won't win Kentucky. They'll be listening to K. Wood. I thought that pretty much summed it up.
They would dream of a game like this in that Final Four. 100 to 100. 19.6 seconds left.
It is built on tradition and legacy, and of course everything that Adolph Rupp brought
it is the identity. It is everything that is Kentucky inherently that we cling to as a passion, as a way of life.
Like, it just transcends generations. Like Kentucky basketball, when you think about Backstreet Boys music, you know, you'll see parents bringing their kids, you know, and that's what happens at Kentucky basketball games. You know, as soon as you're born, you put your blue and white on and you go to the game and you know, woohoo, you know, cats, cats, cats.
I see a lot of UK gear in the house. Oh, I heard some boos. What's up, Big Blue Nation? I'm sorry. I'm a Wildcat. I can't help it.
He's a real kitty cat. That's just what it is. And being around for 20 years now with Backstreet Boys, you see that, you know, transcending generations as long as you're out there doing it. And Kentucky basketball's been around forever.
And we see them rocking UK gear at the concerts
Yeah.
in Germany, London, China, Japan, Australia. We're spreading
Even
the
in
Big
the
Blue
places
Nation.
like Carolina and stuff like that, they show up with UK stuff.
Everybody could afford basketball. It's the most inexpensive sport. And you can learn to play it by yourself, unlike any other sport. You can go out in your backyard, you can tack it up to the side of the barn, a tree, the hoop, and shoot through it, and it's not that expensive. So really, I think it was almost a socioeconomic thing as well here in the state of Kentucky, that this is the one sport that if you grew up in the little coal mining area or the farm area or the inner city, you could play that sport.
My great-grandpa, he used to always, I remember anytime the UK lost, it was never UK's fault. It was always the ref's fault if the UK lost. That's the only way he could rationalize UK losing in his mind.
One of the great stories about Rupp Arena and how fans can intimidate not only the players, but they intimidate officials. One of the coaches was talking about, he goes, we'd get a ball that maybe was knocked off a Kentucky player, it would go out of bounds, and he would whistle, red ball. When Kentucky knocked the ball, or we knocked the ball out of bounds, he would wind it up and go, blue ball!
Life began 1986, December 27th. I was born into this world blue, straight into UK fanaticism. I was born on this world to be the #1 UK fan. If you get close to me, you'll start to realize that that's some of the only things that I talk about, especially when the season's going on. So my criteria for a husband, he has got to understand that UK basketball might come first in some situations.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning. We're waiting in line till 10, and then from 10, we get checked in, and then we go to another line.
We're playing the game, our tournament, SEC tournament in Nashville. Building seats 19,000. We have 17,000. We play Tennessee in their state. They have 1,500 fans. We have 17,000 fans in their state. I couldn't believe it.
We were playing LSU. And my friend and I, Hugh, I was like, you take that side and I'm gonna take this side and try to count as many LSU, try. And we counted less than like 150. I'm sure there were more, but it was like, I thought that was amazing. I was so proud of that, you know?
Great sportscaster for North Carolina named Woody Durham. And Woody comes over and sits down next to me and he says, is it always this way? I said, like what? He said, these people coming. I said, Woody, they would have had more seats if you hadn't have bought, North Carolina hadn't have bought what they bought. He says, we don't draw people that way. We don't have fans follow us on the roads like this. We don't have them come in. And I always thought if North Carolina feels like that, it's got to scare hell out of everybody else.
Passionate, crazy, love to travel. They could play a game in Iowa and it would sell out. Everybody'd be there in the middle of nowhere. Kentucky fans are going. They just want to see the team. Doesn't matter where. It's all about taking a weekend off to follow Kentucky.
I can remember going to Nashville, where that town was painted blue, where we won an SEC championship because of you fans. We we planned this trip in November, we knew this was the Cats' year.
We knew we were either going to go to SEC tournament in New Orleans or this game, and we said it's worth the risk. We know these guys are going to make it. It's going to be epic. Tell me who's in the house tonight.
You can.
Tell me who's in the house tonight.
You can.
Tell me who's in the house tonight.
The Cat fans travel always, and we've lit up New Orleans. It's the Big Blue and the Big Easy. We control it. We own it.
It is now 10 o'clock, still in line, but we're going to go to another line for 4 hours, then we're going to go inside the game for another 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. Kentucky basketball ain't nothing better than Kentucky basketball, baby. Everything begins and ends with Kentucky basketball. How long have you been a Wildcat fan?
Since I was born.
Since I was born.
Duh.
24 years,
My
baby.
blood was never red. It's always been blue.
The main thing that Kentucky basketball fans have grown up with it. It's something that's shared from, father to son, or, grandfather to grandkids. It's something that the parents take their kids to the games, grandparents take their kids to the games. I grew up in Indiana. I really always watched a lot of Kentucky basketball, but I wasn't a big fan. When I moved here, I promised all my friends in Indiana that I wouldn't be converted. They said, man, you're going to Kentucky's home. You're going to go right outside of Lexington. It's going to be hard to not, turn into a Kentucky fan.
The reason transplants move here like my father and get caught up in it, I think, is because of this narrative we have, this running storyline. Even when my dad came, the storyline was going back to the early 1930s with Adolph Rupp. So he came from Illinois, which is just across the river from Western Kentucky. And every time we played his University of Illinois, we beat him.
Brandon Knight said he was stunned when he came to play in a tournament in Dayton after he had committed to, or hadn't committed to Kentucky, was still considering Kentucky. And he looked up and the gym was half full of Kentucky fans. Alex Porthras told me last year when he was playing at Clarksville, it didn't matter where they went in Tennessee, Kentucky fans showed up, including some that came to every home game he had until he committed to Kentucky.
We'll run into fans. I remember talking to a Vandy fan at the Nashville SEC tournament. He's just like, you guys took over our city. We expected it, but we're still amazed that this many people showed up. I mean, they all know going to any kind of event where Kentucky's there that they're outnumbered. They deal with us.
It doesn't matter. These fans will travel. South Carolina last year was like a home game for us.
You'll have students at other schools in the SEC that go to school at a school different than Kentucky, but because they grew up Kentucky fans, they'll wear their blue proudly at a home game at the place that they go to school. You will never see that in Rupp Arena.
But the worst part was one of the South Carolina players came up to us and he asked us why we were wearing Kentucky blue. And we just apologized to him and we said, sorry, but we're from Kentucky. And he gave us a weird look and walked away.
Just every game, away, home game, feel like a home game. Our crowd is all in the crowd, and see blue.
I would venture to guess that a kid would be scared for life and limb to wear an opposing team's colors and cheer for them inside the student section in Rupp Arena. Happens all over the SEC when Kentucky comes to town.
People buy season tickets at the other schools so they can get in our game. What are you talking about? Well, they buy, if Kentucky's coming in that year, they'll buy tickets for the season. Now, they won't use them, that they'll come to our game. That's the kind of fan base we have.
I've been a Wildcat fan, I can remember since I was 9 years old, and I became avid pretty quickly. You can't be around me if you don't like Kentucky basketball, because, it's an everyday part of my life. When I was young, I'd go to the library every day to read the newspaper just to get every little morsel about Kentucky basketball I could find. We had been in Paducah, and I had found a good wife. I thought I had that one covered. I thought I had a pretty good perspective on what's important in life and what I was living my life for. And the question that kept nagging me was, where should I live? And after I thought about it for a few years, I realized that the place where I'd be happy would be here, so I could see Kentucky play ball. My thought process is that we were going to do well wherever we went, but we wanted to be here where we could go to the games. I just knew that long term, what was going to make me happy was to be around Kentucky basketball. And I wanted to be where I could meet players and go to games and really be involved.
If the Wildcats lose, I don't want to talk to someone for 2 days. And what is that? And yet I know it's silly. And I know it's not the end of the world. I know, I got it. And yet for some reason, I can't even walk down the street without feeling horrible. You know? And the right person has to call me. I won't pick up for anybody. But that one guy who's a Badger fan, who's my agent, who gets it, and he doesn't call for 2 days because he knows that it hurts that bad. And I'm kind of joking, but it really, and I love that. You know, why does that affect you so much? And I just became this crazy fan that had to go to the games, that had to be a part of the whole thing. There's something beautiful about that.
Bronco fans pride themselves on being huge fans, and they are. But I tell Bronco fans, you know, you multiply that by about 100 and you've got UK basketball fans.
8 national titles, and just all across the country, whenever another team knows they're playing UK, they know the chances are they're gonna lose.
I have cried when we've lost, and I cried when we won. And I think a lot of people in my life don't see me as a really emotional person. They see me as pretty strong. I'm more likely to cry over this basketball team than I am a guy. That's all I'll say.
You know, it's what's weird is I'm around Hollywood stars all the time. I'm around, you know, super legends, man, you know, all the way from the Charlie Daniels to the Whalens and to everybody, you know, out in Hollywood. It don't bother me, you know, that don't bother me, you know, but man, when I get around them ball players, man, it's just like, oh my God, man, look. I don't know, I become that little kid again, you know, when I'm around them. And you don't want to be all rude and going up and going like, hey man, let me have a picture, but I go like, all right, you just hold that camera. When I get over here beside you, snap it.
I can't take it. I can't take it, John.
1 minute, 33 seconds, 58 Kentucky, 57 Ohio State.
We're watching the OSU
Oh my gosh,
game.
Kentucky is so close to winning. Jesus, Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
Let's go slowly. Let's go.
John. The #1 seed is about to go down by the #1 team. The team who deserves it. Oh my gosh, don't even mess with me right now. I'm just about to kill everyone. Help this boy! Right now! Help him! Help! Help! Y'all must stop, y'all. I knew it.
Oh, God!
No! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. We've got 21 seconds to get this and score. You need to be going up the court. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. Oh my gosh.
I have an exam tomorrow morning.
I don't even know. I just have 12 pages to write.
I give up.
That's nothing to do tonight. Who needs to sleep?
Just about, 45 minutes ago, I was at home doing some homework and some studying because I have calculus test. I got circuits homework coming up. There's no break for me. But my friend called and said, "Hey, are you going to wait in line for the game tonight?" I said, "Are people doing that?" And he said, "Yeah, there's probably going to be people lining up." So I dropped everything I was doing, dropped the calculus, dropped the circuits, and I packed up a lawn chair and I came up to Rupp Arena at about 8:30 or 9. And I plan on staying here all night until the game tomorrow at 9 p.m.
I would dare you to find another fan base that's as knowledgeable on their team as UK is, or as knowledgeable on other teams, because they want to not only be able to compare their teams, they want to be able to break another fan by knowing more about the other fan's team. When it comes to college basketball, nobody knows more about the sport than a UK fan.
Well, I don't want my mom or dad hearing this, but that's kind of why I came to UK in the first place, is because I love the athletics. I didn't even really know what I was wanting to do, but I came here because I've grown up a basketball fan, and this being the last home game to one of the best teams to come through the Kentucky program, there's no way I'm going to think about anything else this week except for this last home game.
It goes back to meeting anybody that wears UK anywhere. Like I was saying, you can strike up a conversation no matter what, and you're going to be able to carry on something about stats, about this game, that game compared to this. It's just, talking to other fans for other teams, it's just, who are the 5 starters on your team? No, you already failed. If it takes you that long.
Say, you're not a UK fan.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen.
Yes.
Oh,
Winning.
I say like it, like it.
Good morning. Well, this is one of the way better nights. We've woken up with snow sitting next to me and being drenched from rain and all kinds of stuff. This is way better than what I'm used to.
Gotta feed the hungry, right?
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
The trick is to get in here. We usually try to act somewhat discreet when we leave from up at the eruption zone so people don't realize what we're going to do. Because everyone else at camps, they take their stuff back to their cars before the game starts. And try and get in and change. We try and park at not as popular area as well, so a lot of people aren't walking by. And when we're changing, just get halfway up and make sure we can put the suit and the mask on before anyone's walking by at the time. I got tinted windows on my car, so that helps, but just a quick change and jump out and head on the way. I was just trying to think of any costume or superhero thing like Batman and Robin or Iron Man, and something we could turn just blue and white. And I wanted to get something where I could just show my support game after game. We decided we found Spider-Man suits, got them custom made for us. It was a huge hit with a bunch of people. We were taking pictures with all kinds of people, and we just kept it going from there.
That's a good question, and I think that's going to be a problem for UK, because when you force teams to shoot outside like we did. Joe Hall called me in his office after practice one day, and he said, "Kenny, you don't have to go to class tomorrow. You're going to ride with me up to Eastern Kentucky. I think it was to Pikeville." And I said, "What are we going to do, Coach?" I was excited about not going to class, and he said, "Well, we're going to go see a kid up there, and he's 13 years old, and he's dying of cancer."
There are just so many instances where a player has visited a kid in the hospital or a whole hospital or a nursing home and just light up those people that they come in contact with.
Never had did anything like that. Of course, I was a little nervous about it, and I said, "Well, Coach, what am I going to do? What am I going to say to a kid?" He said, "Just go be yourself." He said, "For every amount of time that we're there, you'll take that kid mind off of whatever he's going through. For whatever reason, you're his favorite player. He likes the way you play. Just go shoot some ball with him in the backyard." And that's what we did. And you could just see the smile on that kid's face. That's when I learned just how important it was just being a UK Wildcat. That was the start of it, you know, for me.
It's a very difficult to, as a child in particular, and as a young man, as a budding young man, to have to deal with this disease every day, to have a chronic disease. And, you know, part of being able to manage a chronic disease is just, you know, your mood. You know, it's so tough to get through every day.
Well, it was mixed emotions because he had been really sick as a baby. We found out a month from him being 2. The night they called to tell us, they said that it came back positive for cystic fibrosis. We had no clue what it was.
Now, number 1, Reese, Kemp.
It's not fair that I have to be this small because I can't really help it. And it just hurts me in sports, and that's my whole life. It's just not fair that I have to deal with it.
Reese is my world. He's special, you know? I live for Reese. I take care of him, and sadly, I guess after his dad dying and everything we've been through, he completes a big part of me.
When Reese made the connection with some of the UK players, John Wall and others, it really changed his outlook on life. I mean, it really made him more motivated to take care of himself.
I've stayed in touch with John Wall. He's done a lot for me, and it's just made me like sports a lot more.
Oh, yeah, he's like a little brother to me, so it's great to have him out here and bring his mom and enjoy the games. And like I said, it's not like I just talk to him out the blue. It's like we can text all day long and put a smile on his face, and I probably can go to school and tell his friends I'm texting John while they don't believe him, but he can prove them wrong. And when you make it to where I made it at, it's not all about yourself. It's about giving back and seeing how many people you can help and take along down the road you're on.
I mean, I think Reese always puts a smile on my face, and just him being a tough kid and just going through everything he goes through and just still just having the strength to just be living and just being happy all the time just helps me get through my days.
My accident happened in 1998. It was my senior year of high school, the second semester, January of that year. Proceeded to take my girlfriend home. Hit a bump on the right side of the road, overcorrected, and went back across to the other side of the road, hit a fence, and was immediately paralyzed. When I come out of surgery to help fuse my spine together, there was a complication, and I came out of surgery and had lost, at that point, 100% of my vision as well. Kentucky basketball and Kentucky sports in general are a way of me just losing myself, escaping the hardships and the tough times, the trials of life, and just losing yourself in basketball, losing yourself in the Kentucky tradition.
UK basketball was a big part of my little brother Eric and our lives growing up. It meant a lot to me and my family. It was it's something that helped our family come together. My brother found out he had cancer in July 2011. It was kind of a sudden thing for me anyway. Eric, on August 10th, had turned 30, and for his birthday, I got him tickets to the Dominican game. That was special, and to be able to go to Rupp Arena with him, really not knowing for sure it would be the last time, but to go there with the last time, and just to have that crowd there, and just that atmosphere, and the excitement, and like not having to worry about cancer, or paralysis, or blindness, or anything else that we were having to deal with. During those 2 hours, it was bliss, you know. That was the last time that we did something together, really at all, and it meant a lot to be in Rupp Arena and to be with the fans, and as kind of our parting shot together, I guess.
Go, Reese, shoot!
You know, hope is a very important part of all medical care, and you know, even as a doctor, a lot of what I do is really has nothing to do with the medicines. It's just to try to have people maintain hope that we can somehow find a way to get them better.
And I know it probably doesn't mean a lot to them per se right now, that they probably just, you know, they're going through the motions and he's just a really cool kid to hang out with, you know, to them. But in a couple years, when they get kids and they face their own challenges of just either everyday life or, you know, God forbid, anything else, they will truly understand, maybe looking back, just what they've done for this one kid. You know, I mean, for one kid, they've changed his whole world.
Go, Rece! Go, Rece!
Forgive me, Father, if I've sinned. I taped over my parents' wedding video so I could record an exhibition game between UK and Athletes in Action.
Religion requires faith, fanaticism, a temple, and a high priest. Kentucky basketball has all of those.
Kentucky basketball is a legacy, and it's kind of a religion. You still believe in it when, when the church is losing money, you know?
Kentucky basketball is the only thing you can talk about in this state in a bar or in a church, and nobody's going to debate it. You get into religious debates, political debates all the time. Talk about Kentucky basketball, and there's a coming together.
It's Kentucky basketball.
I worship. I know.
It's something for them to be part of because they feel as if they're a part owner of it, and for something for them to look forward to.
UK fans, they're the greatest. The school, the program's great. I'm not taking anything away from them. It's a blue nation. I think they believe more in UK basketball than God, and I don't necessarily agree with that. Honestly, I want to puke because of so many people down here.
There's a part of it that I'm sure kind of feels like a religion, just in terms of the devotion and the tithing.
These players, they just are worshipped by the fans from an early time, but most of them really, really enjoy it because they see that the fans truly just love them.
This arena, it becomes a church to many people. A basketball player for UK, if he wins the national championship, okay, and they get a trophy for a season, and they lose their soul for all eternity that's God's heart. Going to a basketball game in itself is not a sin. In itself is not a sin, but it can be.
Gaius Miller's Blue Jesus.
It is a religion with no redemptive value, though. And here's why I say that. Religions offer something. At least a true religion will give you peace of mind. With Kentucky basketball, misery is wrought throughout.
You get indoctrinated into the fact that you don't know there's another basketball team. It's Kentucky basketball and really nothing else. And being a fan of college basketball really means that you're following Kentucky.
A story I remember Kyle Macy told is after the 1978 championship. They just beat Duke.
I hadn't even had a chance to go towards the end where you can cut a net or do those type of things. And a fan came up to me, shook my hands, hey, congratulations, now we can do it again next year.
They're only 30 seconds into it, and they're already anxious about what next season will bring.
That's just the way the Kentucky fans are. They enjoy winning, and they want to keep doing it.
I had no idea the religion like cult that followed this team around. No, I didn't know any of that, and I hadn't read it. But it's here, and it's very real, and it's as big as any city in America. It's as big as the Bulls. It's as big as the Knicks. Are there less people? Of course there are less people. But if you take a percentage of the population and you see the fanaticism that just what fans are, Kentucky's like no other.
It's tribal behavior. Remember, we all started as tribes. I mean, even if you go back into the Bible, all humans have a genetic aspect and a social aspect. The social aspect is we want to be part of a tribe. The genetic aspect is being part of a tribe helps our survival.
There's no place like Kentucky. I mean, you guys are here. You guys understand that. You guys see a lot of the programs. They're getting better than this.
I'm an old guy and I'm still being interviewed. I have no game plan.
Well, I think they're always unrealistic, but I think that's what makes Kentucky basketball great, the idea that every year you expect to win a championship. That is almost what's fun about it. In fact, we argue on our radio show all the time about the fact that have you failed if you've had a good season and not won a championship. I think I have learned to believe that I enjoy seasons, but I also feel an empty feeling if you don't make it at least to the Final Four. Can't help that. That's just one of those things I want and expect. So it's something that I strive for as a fan as well.
Church first, Kentucky basketball, then your spouse. Now, children would maybe rank up there, but I mean, your spouse will never be above Kentucky basketball. If you have a chance to either watch the basketball game or go to dinner or do something with your spouse, you know that's what that's going to be. You're going to watch a Kentucky basketball game.
I mean, we live in this crazy environment that's all about UK basketball, and it makes us like so crazy and so happy that, you know, we'll go and do stuff that we would never have imagined we would do. Flipping cars over and lighting stuff on fire. I mean, I don't know, in the middle of the street, you know, just all this fandemonium, it just goes too far. And
that's what makes Kentucky different. What makes them unique is that they are so passionate about whether this team wins or loses that oftentimes it's that force that wills Kentucky to wins at Rupp Arena sometimes.
They infiltrate our arena. We don't infiltrate their arena. You know, if a Kentucky fan gives their ticket away to a Louisville fan, they feel, whether they're Catholic, Christian, Jewish, that they go to hell. They really do. So it's different. Our people don't feel they go to hell if they give their ticket to somebody from Big Blue Nation.
Watch out, Rick Pitino! Cat's coming through!
The dark side to sports, even Kentucky sports, occurs in all sports, and in some parts of the world, it truly is a very dark side. When the team fails, you get a huge sense of loss that you're part of a failing system, and then your reaction is to fight back.
One time after a loss, I got a map of Kentucky, and going out of Lexington were arrows drawn in every direction, which was a suggestion, we don't care where you go, but get out of Lexington.
I remember my dad when I was 10 years old, after we got beat at home by Duke in a NCAA tournament game, saying, as I cried in my bed, one day you're going to wake up and this is not going to matter at all to you. Kentucky basketball, Kentucky football, you put too much importance in that nonsense, and it doesn't matter. And 33 years later, it matters as much to me now as it did then.
I get offended almost when I hear people say, it's over the top, they shouldn't care that much. Of course they should. If they love it the way they do, there's nothing wrong with it. It's what makes playing at Kentucky a special experience.
How about we play the game and have a good old time and not trash everybody's house? How about we don't act like tool bags and set on fire for no reason? Even if your team wins, you're set on fire. Why? Because you're not told that has to clean it up.
Because this is what you got, and this is what you got all season long. Lack of effort, lack of pride, and this whatever this was I just watched.
And I think sometimes emotions get the best of fans, and they say things I know that they regret afterwards because they're emotional about it. They want Kentucky to win.
I get on there, I want to be first or second, because I don't care what anybody else says. My opinion is the only one that matters at that point. So I do not want to hear what anybody else has to say. I'm going to say what I say. Glover and the rest of them that listen to me are kind of like my shrink. That's my 5 minutes of detox. So I get it all out, and then I go on about my night or my day, and that's the way it is. I don't turn it over to listen to what anybody else has to say because I really don't care.
Brow Down tweets in, ask superfan Chris why he never calls in after a win or ever offers any praise for positives. I'll hang up and listen.
Well, Brow Down, you must not listen very often, Captain, because after every game I call in, I call a spade after a win or a loss. So when they win, I praise them. When they lose, I don't. It's as simple as that.
I would get
criticized by Kentucky folks. Like if I say Kentucky's number 2, they're the second best team in the country. If I said Kentucky was the second best team I've ever seen, Kentucky people would be upset about it. What are you talking about? It's the best team you've ever seen.
I have seen people that go into depression almost every time Kentucky loses a basketball game. In fact, I had a cardiologist tell me that at the local hospital, they do not show Kentucky games in the ICU unit because they get so excited, they can't watch a UK game if you've just come out of heart surgery. You have to wait a few days to make sure you're fully recovered.
If you mention Kentucky basketball, the first thing you mention is the fans are crazy. You know, and if you look at John Calipari's deal, he told them that you people are nuts, but he likes it.
I think the Louisville fan and the Kentucky fan have a lot more respect for one another now.
Beat-ass Louisville, baby! There's definitely more UK fans than our Louisville fans, but I think we bring just as much intensity. Yeah, I think we're right there too. I mean, I know Coach Callis will say we don't exist, but I mean, we're definitely here.
Put that on there. Look at that right there. Louisville don't exist. Lexington, Kentucky, Bundy.
You got probably about 20,000 plus strong screaming at you how much they hate you. I mean, that definitely affects. I mean, that affects players and the other Louisville fans that are here.
Yeah, they talk a lot of trash about Louisville a lot. Always calling us the little brother.
UK can be obnoxious, but guess what? They can be obnoxious. They can be obnoxious because of the fact.
I don't think so.
Somebody told me that they went down to Louisville and they saw Patino down there and they got his autograph, but they had like a UK basketball and they tried to get him to sign the UK basketball, and he wrote "Go Cards" and then signed Patino on it. I was like, oh, I don't know about that one, Coach. I don't know about that one.
Who plans a wedding when UK and North Carolina are playing?
You have to strategically plan the start time of the game and the start time of the wedding. Nobody would have shown up. Nobody would have shown up. Nobody.
I can't stand Kentucky.
Yeah, I just love to hate them. If you tell me Kentucky go 0-34, I'll take that over any national championship, anything. 0-34.
You indoctrinate them when they're young, and he will not be a Kentucky fan, I will assure you.
You know, Kentucky's kind of one of those programs that you'll watch them if you like them, and you'll watch them if you don't. You know, you'll root for them to win, or you'll root for. There's not a whole lot of people that are in the middle on Kentucky. That's a good thing. That's the way it is with the Yankees or all the great winners.
When you're the best, everybody's jealous of you.
I think it's one of the best rivals in college basketball, between Louisville and Kentucky. And I don't think that the Louisville-Kentucky rivalry get more attention than the Duke in North Carolina than it should. Because to me, the Louisville and Kentucky rivalry is the biggest one, to me, out of all rivalries.
Our fans are a lot better looking. So, well, yeah. I guess there are some things to debate.
I grew up, born and raised to bleed blue and hate red.
Jennifer Lawrence is a Louisville fan, but it's hard because her brothers and like her great-grandfather actually, I think, played under Adolph Rupp. Like literally played for UK under Adolph Rupp, and somehow she's a Louisville fan. I don't get it. She overall is an enigma though. I don't get a lot of the things she does, so maybe she's just crazy. But like literally her brothers and like her family members all went to UK, but during the time they went to UK, they were Louisville fans. So it never really made sense to me. And it's like nobody would claim them. Nobody at UK would claim them because they were Louisville fans, and nobody at Louisville claimed them because they went to UK. So I don't understand all that, but UK, I mean, you can look at our national championships. I'm not even worried about Louisville, to be honest.
This guy named Wilson, he's 2 chairs down. He always meddled in my conversation. He said, "Shut up, Charles, and give me the finger."
Tonight, a bizarre incident between 2 patients at a dialysis clinic leads to a fight. Police were called to the Georgetown Dialysis Clinic after the report that a Louisville fan who was waiting for treatment hit a Kentucky fan.
He just happened to think that U of L was going to beat UK, and he started running his mouth. I just told him to shut up. And then that's what started it. He hit me. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm hooked up to a machine.
Dialysis patient and self-proclaimed diehard UK fan Buford Watkins says Larry Taylor started the fight. Taylor admits hitting Watkins, saying he wasn't talking to him about the game. He was actually talking to someone else.
I said, "Man, don't do that. I don't say nothing to you." So he give me the thing again. I walked toward him. I said, "Give me the thing again, I'll break it off." And again and again, I got to his chair, and I did hit him. He's lucky.
Watkins didn't press charges and says he hopes the Cats win.
Every coach that has coached here says the same thing. The greatest fans. But you have about 1% that are kooky.
They don't want us though. Rece.
Oh, it's going up quick.
Yeah, burn.
Good Lord.
I love you, Big Blue Nation.
The other 99%, you're going to say that these are the greatest fans.
But there are fans who take it too far. And, you know, one of the things I think is important is to try to block those people out, but also say that's not the norm, okay? That, again, national media likes to take crazy Joe that lives in wherever who comes out and curses and says racist things and say, well, that's what Kentucky's like.
When they don't win, you get no peace. They get no peace. There is no rest. They're immediately looking for the next season, the next game, the next recruit, because it's not acceptable if we're not successful. And when you win, you want to win by more. And when you win a championship, you want to win the next championship. You know, there is no peace. That's why they line up on the Clays Ferry Bridge if things start to go bad, because it's just not acceptable around here.
I think the hardest thing to do is to describe what it's like, because it's really hard to understand if you haven't been a part of it.
It's true. The fact that the hardest guy playing on the team is a walk-on. I mean, and you could say that most of the season. It's, boy, from champs to chumps, a season of disgraces. I'll see you.
How about that?
If we lose a game on the road, you can barely get off the court now. You can't shake the other team's hand. You run for your life because people are coming over the top. Now, in Rupp Arena, the team won 87 straight games, 4 national titles, #1 in the country for 4 straight years, and we win the game. And no one charging the court now, because you're supposed to win.
It's a basketball night in Kentucky, and a very pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into a Friday edition of The Huddle. Chris Cross, along with
my first couple of years here, I was really actually a little bit disturbed with the eruption zone. And they were out of their brains.
My second year, we lose 6 league games. People are really, like, literally, oh my God. We lost 6 league games, all by a couple points. No one blew us out. And I kept saying, I like my team. I'm sold on this team. Relax, we're gonna be fine.
Well, back in the day, you know, I wrote a little snippet in the paper. They used to have a thing where you could put like a paragraph in the paper on Sundays. Went to church. When I came home, I used to have that little caller ID box. There was 118 calls on that. People would say, we're gonna meet you under the old oak tree at the K-Fun place, and we're gonna tear you apart, we're gonna kill you, yada, yada, yada.
I mean, they've always been crazy for years and years. We've become what people call a basketball state.
For us, when a game is on, it's like a holiday. And when there's like a tournament going on, it's like a national holiday, meaning like nobody works, nobody goes to school.
And a couple years ago, we were doing something on that bracketology show that we do where we make picks for the tournament. And I thought Cornell was really good. And I thought they were going to make it to the Sweet 16. And they were in Kentucky's bracket. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put Cornell in the Elite 8. Because, one, they got a chance to do it. It's improbable, but I think they can do it. So Kentucky people went crazy. Somebody put my phone number on a website. I started getting phone calls morning, noon, and night. I couldn't use my phone, and every time I saw that 859, I knew what it was. And it wasn't going to be, hey Jay, you're doing a great job.
We actually also, in addition to have the most passionate fans, we've got the most internet savvy fans. There are more Kentucky basketball fans on the internet than maybe any other team, pro or college, in the country. I've talked to writers who say they are amazed. I mean, Kentucky fans are on the internet. And what's interesting, I think it makes a lot of writers hesitant to write about Kentucky. If you think about how much criticism Cal took 2 years ago versus now, I think a lot of that is the Big Blue Nation, fans saying, listen, we're gonna fight back. And I think it has changed the way that not just Kentucky, but all teams are covered.
We have 1 million Twitter followers. When we had about 800,000, I didn't know what it meant. What do we have here? Twitter.
I don't think another sports team in the nation has more internet trolls than UK.
Lord. I mean, you get on a sports commentary blog and it can be talking about women's tennis in South Africa and somebody will be repping UK. Yeah. They'll be talking about women's tennis and there'll be somebody talking about why isn't UK involved? Where's Calipari mentioning this? And because they think the world of college basketball only revolves around UK.
Was with my friend Houston Powell, cheering like crazy, couldn't believe what we were seeing. Right when Sean Woods made the shot.
Yeah! We beat him! We're gonna beat him! We're gonna beat him! He made it? Yes, he made it!
A friend of mine that is a big Carolina fan called, and he was like, "You did it! You did it!" He called from Charlotte, and I was like, "Shut up! Shut up! You don't understand. Shut up."
For me, the whole Christian Laettner thing, I was born in '92. So for me, I didn't know why I was always told to hate this man. And anytime somebody said his name or the name Duke, I was like instantly just like ruffled feathers, like, let's do this, let's get down, let's throw it down right now.
Well, while you're playing the game, you have no idea you're playing in a game that's considered one of the best college basketball games ever.
They were a very tough team to play that year. Not only a tough team to beat, but just a tough team to play.
Laettner puts it up. Yes!
Puts it
up. Yes!
They beat us, Connie.
He made it. Made it the buzzer!
I tell you, there ain't many times I've been that low, boy, when you felt that. I mean, you could feel the whole air out of the state just went, ugh.
I mean, with the possible exception of the death of a couple of family members, that's the worst feeling I've ever had, because I thought they'd won it. I think that's the most important moment in the history of UK basketball.
Here's how impactful that Christian Laettner shot is on not only the psyche of the fans, but the players that participate in that game. Richie Farmer pled guilty. He's facing 2 years in federal prison, and the only way his attorney could convey the emotion of what this means is he said in the press conference,
he decided the best decision today was to draw on past experience and to guard the guy taking the ball out of bounds.
I hated that game. I hated that game for so many reasons, but the reason I hated it the most was when I grew up as a kid, Kentucky wasn't on TV all the time. You had to listen to K. Wood and Ralph. And that night was K. Wood's last game, and he was the greatest ever. And for him to be such a winner and go out like that, it just crushed me even more.
20 years, 15 years later, you see how it still affects people. And then, I was talking to a guy on the radio the other day who said, you ruined my childhood. I was 9 when you hit the shot, and you ruined my childhood. And he wasn't, saying it tongue-in-cheek at all.
I'll never forget, I went to Rick, and he was just devastated by the loss. And I went to him, put my arm around him, and I said, "Coach, for what it's worth," he said, "as I really know the Kentucky fan, this may be a blessing in disguise. You may have done a little too much too soon." And he looked at me and he said, "Are you crazy?" he said, "That's the dumbest thing I ever heard."
In fact, I was at an event not too long ago with one of the officials that called that game. And he said who grew up a Kentucky fan, by the way, he said his son quit speaking to him for 3 weeks after the Kentucky-Duke game because they didn't throw Laettner out.
Got it again. Watch Timberlake and Laettner.
All right, you see the play right there. That was a pretty darn nasty situation. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not.
Yeah, he did.
He said, it wasn't even my call. He said, "Dad, it doesn't matter. You could have thrown him out for what he did." But he didn't. So, I mean, that's the kind of emotional scars that you have now. And his son even talks about to this day, whenever they go anywhere, he never tells anybody that his dad was one of the officials.
And I will say this, there was a millisecond where I said, how hard do I step on him? Your mind works really, really quick. And I was smart enough to say, don't do it hard, because that would get me in trouble.
What makes Kentucky fans so great is, even though we lost, in their hearts, in their minds, and in their souls, we're still winners. And that shows great appreciation.
I did not understand why people were walking away with tears in their eyes from the game. I'm going, it's a game. Do that game today, and I will walk away with tears in my eyes because I understand what it's now all about.
It was probably the best game I've ever seen in any sport. Not probably, for sure. And
although we lost it, if he hadn't hit that shot, it would have just been one of the best games I've ever seen. But that shot turned it into the best game I'd ever experienced.
Big shot after big shot, you know, drama, swings one way, back the other, and there was just so many storylines converging that night that, you know, the potential going in to be something memorable, and then to see the game match the hype of a moment like that is rare.
When we came home and we were at Bluegrass Airport and we got off that plane and you had 15,000 people waiting for you lined up from the airport all the way down to New Circle Road, that's when we knew that what we had done was very, very magical and had some type of significance on everybody's lives in the state of Kentucky.
The energy that was going on in that game, and you could see it in the crowd, and you could hear it in the announcers, and you could definitely feel it. It was impossible to just be a neutral fan. You had to take one side or the other. And my previous allegiance had been with my other state where I grew up, but to now be living in Kentucky and to watch this game happen, it kind of took its own personality. Some people's hearts were broken, but some people's hearts were born. And that was the night I became a basketball fan of University of Kentucky.
To the corner, Paget three, they need it, they got it. Turner, good job. 71-60. It was 17 just a moment ago. Back-to-back threes, Evans and Paget.
The 98 game was very therapeutic, I think, for the Kentucky fans because it was their chance to stick it to Duke, to get them back. And it kind of pains Kentucky fans that more's not made of that game by the national media than the 92 game. Now, granted, the 92 game is a classic, certainly, but people forget that Duke was ahead of Kentucky by 17 points with a little over 10 minutes to go. In a window of 2 minutes and 31 seconds, Kentucky evaporated Duke's lead. It went from 17 to 1. Duke players are walking off the floor with a dazed look. They couldn't believe that someone had taken their lead away from them so quickly. It just disintegrated. And I think more Kentucky fans look at the Duke game in '98 as the one that it was an opportunity for them to sort of purge all the ill will and all the negative thoughts that the '92 game created for them.
And so it was before the game, and I went to this restaurant, and I had bags of food. I rode my bike, so I got off my bike, and there was a bunch of people at the door of my apartment, and they were trying to figure out the code or whatever, and so I just walked up, I said, sorry. I was like, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep. I kicked the door open, I'm like, and he's like, no. He's like, oh, you're the food? Like, you're coming to my party and bringing the food? You're the food guy? And it was very kind of presumptuous of this guy. I was like, no, I know the code. I live here, man. But I didn't say that. I was like, no, I'm here. And he opened the door. He was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I get past him, and then I hold the door open for them, and I'm waiting. And he finally comes in and walks past me. And of course, this arrogant swear word, Duke, a Duke. And I was like, and that's the only thing I said to him was, of course. As he walked past me. But it was this confrontation that was real, and it was, I didn't like him.
There's never a game in Rupp where it's not loaded and it's not sold out. It doesn't matter who they're playing. It's that Kentucky's playing that's important to them.
I was an attorney, had gone to law school and thought that's what I was going to be doing with my life. And just as a hobby, I started a website that initially was dedicated to just my friends and I talking about sports. And it ended up kind of becoming a UK site. And then, over time it grew in popularity, and I sort of realized, hey, there's a market for people covering UK from a fan's point of view.
Woo! Yeah! Everybody's here right now at Fayette Mall. They're here to see Anthony Davis. He's doing an autograph session right now. And I mean, the lawn wraps all the way around to the back towards the outdoors. So I mean, it's a pretty big scene, and it's actually been going on for about an hour right now.
It's almost like growing up in Kentucky, you're programmed for this. It's, you're born, and then you learn about Kentucky basketball, and that just it's sewn into your blood, and that's just what you become a part of it.
to coach here, you can't just coach basketball. It's bigger than that. And you can accept it or don't take the job. I mean, that's just how it is.
You know, this game day thing, we've had some unbelievable crowds, and everywhere expects us to say this is the best. And for the last 2 years, they said, what's been the best one? And we've said, what's Rupp? That's been the best one. You know, we don't want to be disrespectful, but that's the way it is.
I'm a UK fan, and always been a UK fan. Well, the news put it out this way that I was a Louisville fan, and it wasn't that way. Both of us UK fans. He was a UK fan, I was a UK fan. And they will always beat little brother, which is Louisville.
UK fans get a little bad rap that they expect to win every year. I don't think that's the case, but they want to talk about it all year. They want it to be a part of their lives all year. I mean, I like the fact that there's something that keeps people's interest and that makes people excited year-round.
If something ever happens to me and I'm like in a coma, and when you play on UK, something I'm not stimulated at all, then go ahead and pull the plug on me because I'm over with.
It's never gone too far, in my opinion. You know, it's us as players, the people at the university should be grateful, okay, like we are, that people care so much about basketball teams. You know, because everywhere else, people envy that.
If they do get down, and sometimes during a long season, they kind of get sluggish and maybe lose their focus a little bit, well, you can point out, hey, those fans haven't lost their focus. Give them something to cheer about. Bring them back into the game.
There's not many times that a game starts or a game ends that I don't think about him. I saw him, the last time I spoke with him was September the 11th, 2011, the day before he died. And he's in his hospital room, and my wife and I had gone up and seen him, and we were talking about Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is going to be pretty good. That's before madness or anything. Anthony Davis is going to be the real deal. And he never got to see him play, but he was right.
I still, when I walk in Rupp Arena in front of 25,000, knowing that the upper deck has been filled for an hour, I still get chills when I walk in that building. I've been doing this a long time, and I can tell you I've never felt that way until I walked on this campus and walked in that building.
Kentucky basketball is just a phenomenon unto itself, and until you've actually experienced it and been a part of it, you really don't understand it. I remember Rick and Tubby both said I didn't really understand it until I got here. Cal Perry told me the same thing.
So whether you move to Idaho or Montana or you're now in Texas or Florida, doesn't matter where I go. I'm in Venezuela. Coach, I'm a Kentucky fan. What are you doing here?
This is my husband. He's deployed to Afghanistan right now, so we wanted to bring him to Tukey's, and he comes every game with all of us to Tukey's, so we wanted to bring a cutout and let him experience it.
I got addicted. It's like shooting up, only it's, not harmful to you.
I would guarantee anybody living here in Lexington that isn't a true blue fan, needs their heads examined.
We do a daily television show on basketball in July. I don't know if you could do that anywhere else.
Patrick Ewing, player of the year at Georgetown, NCAA champion, wanted to know what it was like to play at Kentucky. So we're walking through the airport, and this fan comes up and say, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" And then he said, "Sure, why not?" And they was like, "No, we're not talking to you. We're talking about Kenny. We pulled for him when he played for the University of Kentucky." And then I said, "That's what Kentucky basketball is all about."
Even a couple of guys from Manchester United, the world-famous soccer team, emphatically said, nothing compares to the fandom, the zealotry, the passion of Kentucky basketball and the fans.
The first time you heard me speak was Midnight Madness 3 years ago. And I said we want to be the gold standard of college basketball. We want to recruit the best and the brightest. We want to have parades. We want to be #1 in the country. And we want to raise banners. 'Let's raise one today. 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 'Let's ra
apiece and we pass UCLA? Hell no. And I mean, they're going to want more. They're going to want to double UCLA before it's over with.
Can you hate Duke and you hate UNC and you hate Louisville and you love the Cats and that's it?
From a 3-year-old to a 93-year-old, you know, the only way that you can pick somebody out in Kentucky who's not a Kentucky fan is if they're wearing red.
There has to be a proper balance. You know, when we're not balanced, we kind of go off to one extreme or another, and we find ourselves getting in trouble. You know, but this is fun. This is all meant to be fun and in a great way.
I call it the blue dust. It's everywhere. You think it's just here and no. When you touch that blue dust, you cannot get it off you.
I would like to formally apologize to all the UK fans for stepping on Amino Timberlake's chest in 1992. Please forgive me.
And also hitting that shot.
Yeah, you want to hit the shot, hit the shot.
And I apologize for hitting the shot. Whatever you think is worse, I'll apologize for it again.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Well, it's been 49 years since my last confession, but my mama, on her deathbed, I finally asked her if Adolph Rupp was my daddy. And she did not say no. So I was going through my mama's stuff and I found this picture. And if this don't prove it, look at that. That is like twins. I'm like a twin. I miss you, Daddy. I'm sorry, Daddy, I wasn't a boy and 7 foot tall. And I feel better.
Ready to run for the roses, tired of keeping up with the Joneses. Fiddly D having a ball and proposing we should P-A-R-T-Y. Digging it deep like a coal mine, stepping up strawberry moonshine. It's going to be that me have a cold one, hell of an F-R-I-D night.
24 hours every single day.
24 miles to the Cumberland Lake.
24 bottles in a cold beer case.
Coincidence? I think not.
Help me sing this song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home. Taking on that side of this city where the girls are fast and the horses pretty. Gonna get wild and a little bit flirty. Everybody get Kentucky dirty. I wear low grass clothes too high. Lines are good, but I'll drink tonight. So pour that bourbon straight and sturdy. Everybody get. Gonna get a little bit. Everybody get Kentucky dirty.
What if we're Kentucky, Coach K? We do it the hard ways. I got 4 plumbers at point guard and 3 construction workers and 2 of them's on break. We'll still beat your ass by 20. And you can take that to the bank.